From Birmingham's factory floors to heavy metal's throne, Ozzy Osbourne transformed rock music forever. Black Sabbath created an entirely new genre. His solo career broke every boundary, but behind the Prince of Darkness stood bands that lit his path. These weren't just influences, they were obsessions. Ozzy listened to these bands every day. He studied their every move. Some made him want to become a musician. Others showed him how heavy it could sound. A few taught him that darkness and melody could coexist. These 10 bands shaped the voice that would define metal. They gave Ozzy the blueprint for rebellion. They proved working-class kids could change the world. From Liverpool's pop revolution to London's blues explosion, these bands created the foundation. Every scream Ozzy unleashed, every riff Tony Iommi played, every doom-laden lyric Geezer Butler wrote, traced back to these masters. This is Ozzy's musical DNA 10. Fleetwood Mac. Before rumors and stadium glory, Fleetwood Mac played pure blues fire. Ozzy watched Peter Green's band with religious devotion. Black Sabbath started as Earth, playing jazz blues just like them. Green's guitar spoke with painful beauty that struck Ozzy deep. His bending notes carried emotions words couldn't express. Fleetwood Mac with Jeremy Spencer showed Birmingham kids another way forward. They proved British bands could master American blues. Green's playing influenced Tony Iommi's approach to melody within heaviness. Songs like Albatross and Black Magic Woman demonstrated atmospheric power. Ozzy studied how Green balanced delicate touch with raw intensity. The original Fleetwood Mac taught Sabbath that space mattered as much as noise. Green's ability to make the guitar cry inspired metal's emotional depth. Before Black Sabbath created scary music, they absorbed Fleetwood Mac's haunting blues. Peter Green showed them that darkness could be beautiful. 9. The Who smashed everything in their path and rebuilt rock's possibilities. Ozzy witnessed their explosive energy and relentless power firsthand. Pete Townshend's windmill guitar attacks revolutionized stage presence. Keith Moon's drumming was beautiful chaos that shouldn't work, but did. They proved working-class fury could become art without losing its edge. Townshend's use of feedback and power chords influenced Tony Iommi's approach. The Who's commitment to maximum volume paved heavy metal's path. Songs like My Generation gave voice to youth rebellion Ozzy understood. Roger Daltrey's powerful vocals showed how to command massive stages. The Who's rock operas proved ambitious concepts could work in rock. Ozzy admired how they never compromised their intensity for commercial success. Their destruction of instruments symbolized rejection of music's polite conventions. The Who taught Ozzy that rock meant war against mediocrity. They showed him loud was never loud enough. 8. Cream was the first supergroup, and they proved power trios could shake the earth. Eric Clapton, Jack Bruce, and Ginger Baker created heavy psychedelic blues. Ozzy watched them transform blues into something entirely new and terrifying. Clapton's guitar solos stretched time and bent minds. Bruce's bass playing influenced Geezer Butler's melodic heaviness. Cream showed how 3 musicians could sound like an army. Their improvisation created spaces Black Sabbath would later fill with doom. Songs like Sunshine of Your Love merged melody with crushing weight. Ozzy loved how Cream made blues dangerous again. They took American blues and made it heavier, darker, more British. Cream's short career proved intensity mattered more than longevity. Their albums Disraeli Gears and Wheels of Fire were Sabbath's textbooks. Cream demonstrated that technical brilliance and raw power weren't enemies. They showed Ozzy that heavy could also be sophisticated. 7. The Rolling Stones. The Rolling Stones were Britain's dangerous answer to the Beatles' charm. Mick Jagger and Keith Richards created rock's greatest partnership. Ozzy covered Sympathy for the Devil with deep reverence on his Undercover album. The Stones proved rock could be dark, sexual, and threatening. They embraced blues' dangerous elements the Beatles smoothed over. Keith Richards' riffs taught simplicity's power when played with conviction. Jagger's stage presence showed Ozzy how to command attention without traditional vocal beauty. The Stones' longevity demonstrated rock wasn't just youthful rebellion. Songs like Paint It Black explored darkness mainstream pop avoided. Ozzy admired their refusal to soften with age or success. The Stones took blues devil imagery seriously when others just played. They proved working-class British kids could out-blues American masters. The Rolling Stones showed Ozzy that rock meant never surrendering to respectability. They remain eternal rebels. 6. The Sex Pistols. Decades after creating metal, Ozzy discovered punk's raw power through the Sex Pistols. Billy Morrison, his friend and Billy Idol's guitarist, introduced him to their fury. Johnny Rotten's snare and Steve Jones's buzzsaw guitar spoke Ozzy's language. The Pistols proved music didn't need technical perfection to devastate. Their three-chord assault on British society resonated with Sabbath's working-class anger. Ozzy admired how they terrified the establishment, just like Sabbath once did. God Save the Queen was a rebellion distilled to pure venom. The Sex Pistols' brief explosive existence mirrored Cream's intensity over longevity approach. Ozzy respected their complete rejection of rock's corporate machinery. They reminded him why he started making music in the first place. The Pistols proved anger stayed relevant across generations. Ozzy still listens to them regularly with Morrison. The Sex Pistols kept the rebellion's flame burning when rock grew comfortable. 5. The Jimi Hendrix Experience. Jimi Hendrix was the guitar wizard who made the impossible sound routine. Ozzy and Geezer Butler saw Hendrix live in Woburn, England, in summer 1968, the year Black Sabbath formed. Ozzy thought Jimi was great, though Geezer disagreed on different drugs that night. Hendrix's mastery of effects like wah-wah, feedback, and distortion blew Tony Iommi away completely. His fearless experimentation inspired Iommi to push his own creative boundaries and helped shape Sabbath's iconic sound. Zakk Wylde later admitted he got the fingering for Miracle Man directly from Foxy Lady. Hendrix proved guitars could scream, cry, and speak languages beyond words. His live performances were experiences, not just concerts. The way he made feedback music instead of noise opened heavy metal's doors. Ozzy named Hendrix in his dream supergroup alongside Lennon and McCartney. If Hendrix were alive today, Ozzy said, he'd still blow minds. Purple Haze was more than a song, it was a revolution. Hendrix showed that technical mastery and raw emotion weren't opposites. He gave rock guitar supernatural power. 4. John Lennon Solo.
Imagine there's no heaven. It's easy if you try.
John Lennon's solo work hit Ozzy harder than even the Beatles' Glory. Imagine became Ozzy's most played album, spinning thousands of times over decades. Lennon the solo artist was raw, honest, and unfiltered. Songs like Working Class Hero spoke directly to Ozzy's Birmingham upbringing. Ozzy covered Woman and Working Class Hero on Undercover as tribute. He called Lennon a poet, rebel, and passionate voice for truth. Ozzy's Dreamer was his attempt at creating his own Imagine. Lennon's willingness to be vulnerable influenced Ozzy's emotional honesty. Jealous Guy and Gimme Some Truth felt timeless across decades. Ozzy loved how Lennon never stopped pushing boundaries or speaking truth. Meeting Paul McCartney felt like meeting Jesus Christ to Ozzy. But Lennon's solo rawness connected more personally. John Lennon showed Ozzy that fame meant a platform for honesty. His assassination devastated Ozzy personally. The Plastic Ono Band album stripped everything to bare emotion. Lennon proved superstars could admit weakness and pain. His solo years taught Ozzy that evolution mattered more than nostalgia. 3. Dave Clark. 5. Before Beatles mania, young Ozzy dreamed of joining Dave Clark 5. At school dances, Glad All Over sent shivers down his spine. Dave Clark's thunderous drums made drumming look sexy and powerful. Ozzy wanted to be in that band more than anything. They were absolutely huge, though people don't remember how massive. Clark was light years ahead in business, writing, managing, and producing everything. He owned all the masters while the Beatles and Stones fought for theirs. The Dave Clark Five's heaviness came from those drums pounding relentlessly. Even the drummer looked cool, which seemed impossible to young Ozzy. They rivaled Beatles in popularity during the British invasion's early days. Bits and Pieces and Catch Us If You Can were teenage anthems. Ozzy appreciated how Clark controlled everything without compromising artistic vision. Dave Clark Five showed success required both talent and business sense. Their sound was heavier than most remembered from that era. Mike Smith's vocals added soulful power to Clark's rhythmic assault. The band proved drummers could be frontmen and sex symbols simultaneously. 2. Led Zeppelin. Led Zeppelin hit Ozzy like thunder from heaven. Their first 2 albums were fucking unbelievably good. Robert Plant and John Bonham came from the same part of England as Sabbath. Ozzy told Tony Iommi, "They're fucking heavy." Tony replied, "We'll be heavier." And he was right. Led Zeppelin 1 was such a breath of fresh air. They were doing something acceptable but yet so different. Ozzy chose Led Zeppelin 4 as one of his favorite albums ever. Zeppelin showed how heavy could be sophisticated and blues could be massive. Jimmy Page's guitar was otherworldly. John Bonham's drums were thunder. John Paul Jones's bass and keys filled every space. Whole Lotta Love and Immigrant Song defined power without apology. Zeppelin's success showed heavy music could dominate charts. They proved Birmingham kids could compete with London's elite. Led Zeppelin challenged Black Sabbath to be even heavier, darker, scarier. Their mystical imagery opened doors for Sabbath's occult themes. Zeppelin's commercial dominance gave heavy music mainstream credibility. They became the blueprint for how hard rock could conquer the world. 1. The Beatles. The Beatles changed everything. Ozzy's world went up like a shooting star. Hearing She Loves You at age 14 was a divine experience. The planets changed. His bedroom walls, ceiling, and doors were completely covered with Beatles pictures. He fantasized about Paul McCartney marrying his sister. Young Ozzy knew he'd be a rock star the rest of his life. The Beatles gave him the desire to be in the music game. Ozzy owes his entire career to them. They showed working-class kids anything was possible. Hey Jude, Yesterday, and Eleanor Rigby are fucking phenomenal. Ozzy listens to them every single day still. Meeting Paul McCartney was like meeting Jesus Christ. The Beatles made the world go from black and white to color. They remain the greatest band ever. Ozzy told Sex Pistols' Steve Jones there's something wrong with anyone who doesn't like the Beatles. Their experimentation on later albums inspired Sabbath's willingness to evolve. The Beatles proved bands could be artists, not just entertainers. 4 Liverpool lads gave Birmingham's Prince of Darkness his dream and his voice. From Beatles' Color to Zeppelin's Thunder, these 10 bands created Ozzy Osbourne's musical foundation. Each taught different lessons. The Beatles showed working-class dreams could come true. Led Zeppelin demonstrated heaviness as art. Dave Clark, 5, proved business mattered. John Lennon modeled raw honesty. Together they gave the Prince of Darkness his voice. Without them, heavy metal might never have been born. Their influence echoes through every Ozzy scream.